So yesterday we have done. First, I looked that it is recording. Yeah, it is recording. But we have done some data types like byte, int, long, double, char, bool, and we have done some if and else conditions, and can say we have some done some operators like and or. You get the difference between and or.
Yes, yes. And means both the condition has to be
Yeah,
true. And
yeah,
if it is or, then either one, if it is true, then
yeah,
it will
yeah,
go inside.
yeah. So let's move forward. So we have covered, like you can say, uh, how to install Visual Studio, how to use various data types, and we also saw why Selenium is used and why there is a need of n unit. Okay, uh, you know n unit, something about n unit.
Yes. So previously I have used NUnit to run the test pack. So if we have to run in a batch, like some around
Yeah,
20,
yeah.
30 test cases, then we will
Mm,
use NUnit and it will help us
mm,
to generate the report as well.
oh,
XML, HTML reports also can be generated with that.
yeah, yeah. So let's move to some more advanced topics like loops, arrays, and function. And as we proceed, you can say we will also discuss that why we need to study these topics and while study Selenium, where are we using these concepts? Okay,
Yeah.
so let move to the first topic, and the first topic is concatenation operator. Okay, for that I will make a new class. Just right click add class and name it as you can say concatenation study. Now I will add a made method to it.
Abhijit, one silly question on this one.
Yeah,
So under one project solution, we have multiple .cs classes, correct?
yeah, you
Program.cs,
can, yeah,
concentration.cs,
yeah, you can
and
have
we can have multiple in this console, and all of them can have a main method as well,
main
right?
method. Yeah.
I Okay. Only in um, class library we can't have, correct?
Mm, I pardon. I understand. I can
Means
understand what.
I remember previously I was trying something and I was getting error, so that is the reason I'm asking. Means
Mm,
could
because
be wrong.
yeah, when you put the another class and another main method,
Mm-hmm.
so then you have to suppose if I write like console dot write line something like if I want to print test. Uh, Now, if I run my class, now it will
Mm.
give error. It will give error. You see, it will give error. And what is the error? That
Okay, program has more than
more
one
than one
entry
entry point. Because
defined.
you see,
Main method
main
here.
here it is again a main.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a startup method for every project. So here you can do one thing, that right click on your project
Mm-hmm.
and go to the properties, and here one thing as startup object which is not set.
Okay, let me write it.
It's in now it is recording. You can see the recording as well. Okay. Now it's startup object, concatenation study. Then always remember. When you do this thing, always
Mm.
close this.
Okay.
Always close this. And now, if I run, now you see it runs successfully. Okay. So every time when you make this console app, you can say you have to make one of the class as a startup class.
Okay. So this thing I have to do every time. It means
Yeah,
whenever I'm creating a new
new class.
like new class in the solution.
Yeah, and one thing remember, whenever you do the thing that whenever you make the startup object,
Mm-hmm.
always close this.
Use this. Mm. Sure.
Or you can say if you don't close it, you will get error in the next class. Okay, so
Mm.
always when you make the startup object, then always close it. Okay, now we are
Okay.
studying concatenation operator.
Mm.
Suppose I will take something as it's a very small topic, but it's a very good topic. You can say I will say selenium. I will write as console dot write line. Now, if I execute my code, now you see that selenium study is in one line. So
Mm.
here plus sign is the concatenation operator. It is used for concatenating the strings. As you see that after running the program, Selenium training is in one single line, as
Mm.
Selenium and training are two different words assigned to two different variables, but it is being printed in one single line because we are concatenating the two
String.
strings. Okay, now suppose if I take first I comment this. Now, if I run my code, now you see it is printing 300. Now, if I suppose write, now if I execute my code, now you see it is printing 300 Selenium steady. And if I suppose write, now there are three print statements. Now you see it is printing study, sorry, uh, plus. Yeah. Now it is printing Selenium study 100 200. Now you see that first it is printing when a plus b, then it prints 300,
300, and here
then
it is not adding.
yeah. So the thing is that in x plus y, when take Selenium study, then when it adds with a, which is 100, it took both as string. Okay. But first when it is adding a plus b, 100 plus 200, then it took both as integer.
Integer. Okay.
So that it print 300. So you can say now one more thing. If I write now, if I execute my code, now there are four print statements: x plus y, a plus b. You see now in the above statement, x plus y, and when there are no brackets, it takes 100 as a string. But here a plus b is in different brackets and x plus y is in different brackets. So they took the both as different entity. Okay. Now you might get errors in your script as well while working with the Selenium, and you might get confused. So you have to be very careful while using the concatenation operator. It never adds up directly, especially with the case of strings. Okay. Now, if I, you can say one more statement and can say if I change the positions, now there are five print statements. Now you see again 300 will add up. So you have to be very careful while working with the strings and integers that if string is adding with an integer, then int will act as a string. Okay, but there if integer is adding with integer, then it will act as integer. Now, when the brackets are there, first you can say that the bracket things will go first. First, it will go a plus b, x plus y. Then, after that, they will add up with each other. So you have to be very careful when working with the strings. Okay. So till now, everything that we have discussed so far is present in every programming language, whether it is C Sharp, PHP, Java, or Python. The concept remains the same for every programming language, that how you declare the variables. So now let's move forward to the concept of loops. So first we take an example of while loop. Okay. Mm, so for that we will make a new class and name it as while study. Okay. Now again I will add a main method to it. So you see that main method is a startup method of any class.
Yes.
So suppose we'll say int I equal to 0, and I will the condition that while I is less than 10, and here I equal to I plus 1. So if I um, run my code, you will see that first of all, I have to make this as my startup class, go for the properties. Now you see there is my class which I have to make as startup class, and after that I will close it. Now if I run my code, see it will print 0 to 9. And one thing more, after console.writeLine, suppose I run my project again, you see that it is coming. But sometime what happens, this console window vanishes. It's you can say about the settings. So for that you have to write console dot read key. Now if you see, now the lines which are coming here, the writing lines, it is not there, and your console window will not vanishes. Okay, so the thing is that here I am doing initialization. This is my condition, and this is incrementation. Now, if you want to see the execution of while loop by debugging the program, by debugging, I mean that running the code line by line. I can say breakpoint here. Now, if I run my code again here, now the first time when the can say execution is on this line. Now you can see here the value of I is 0, and now the condition is I is less than 10. Okay, which is true. So it will go into these brackets. Then it will print the can say here it will print. Now you see 0 is here. Now incrementation is in this line. Now you can see the value of I here is 1. You see, value of I is 1. Now it will go again into this condition and check whether 1 is less than 10. Then again it is true. Then again it will go into the print statement. Now you see 0, 1. Okay. I'm doing this by pressing F10.
Mhm.
Okay. So if I do F5, then it will go to the, you can say, the next breakpoint.
Breakpoint.
Yeah. Again, I will do here 7, 8, 9. Now, when it goes for the next condition, that 10. Now, in this statement, now it checks 10 is less than 10,
mm,
it will not go into the loop because I never write 10 is less than equal to 10. So it will never print 10. Okay, for that, you can say I can, if I say 10 less than equal to 10, now if I run my code, now you see it will print 10 as well. Okay, now you can see that it will, while loop is always go for true condition, that whenever it is true, it will go inside the condition. Now moving to my next loop, which is can say for loop. Here, if I say int y equal to 0, y is less than 10, y plus plus is a console.writeLine y. And first I will comment this, and if I execute my code again, you see that initialization, condition, and incrementation is in the single line. Okay, this is a simple for loop. Now, suppose I want to print, you can say, sum of first 100 numbers. So I want to print sum of 100 numbers. Now I can say for int suppose a equal to 0, a is, now I want to print first 100 numbers. So I will take it a is less than equal to 100 because I want to print the first 100 numbers, sum of first 100 numbers. So a plus plus, now okay, sum equal to sum plus a, and I will say console or write line sum of first 100 numbers uh, is okay. Now if I run my code again, see that it is printing 5050. So what is happening is there that it is adding the, you can say, when it goes for the first time, here sum is 0, 0 plus 1. Then sum becomes sum equal to 1.
one. Mm,
Okay. Then again when it goes into the loop, now again it goes 1 plus 1. Then it becomes 2. Then again it goes into loop 2 plus 2, it becomes 4. Then again it goes into the loop 4 plus 3, then it becomes 7. So this way the loops going on. Okay. So the question is that where we use for loop in Selenium, suppose you have an Excel file with you can say uh, if I Excel file, no, suppose you have Excel file where there are you say uh, there are some rows and there are some columns. Now in the first row there is you can say username, you got the Excel sheet of that, and there is password, and you can say there is an email, and you have something like zip code, and you have to iterate through entire Excel sheet. Okay, so here we can use the for loop, that we will go for the for loop, like you can use for while loop, that if there are so much you can say rows, for that suppose I know that there are 100 rows, so I will write as for int I is less than equal to 100 till 100th row, I will pick username, password, email, and zip code. Okay, so for loop is very useful in reading, you can say line by line, or you can cell by cell. Okay. Now moving to the next topic, which is arrays. So these are very small topics, but these are very important topics. You will find it very helpful in the coming classes.
Abhijit,
Y-
while loop is also doing almost same thing in
Yeah.
above.
Hmm.
So how do I decide which one to use? Like, should I use for or should I use while loop? Because if we can see here also,
Hmm.
we are initializing, then giving condition, then incrementing, and I think this will also print the sum of first 100 number.
Yeah, you can say it will also do the same thing, but you see that uh, suppose the you can say initialization and you say condition and you say incrementation is in the single line. Suppose if I will not write this, okay, and you can say if I mm, no, it will not print nothing. Okay, now suppose now I'm I'm commenting this line, and now I'm commenting the incrementation, and if I execute my code, you see it is printing,
Yeah,
and
it
it
will go in infinite loop because
infinite.
yeah,
Yeah,
because 0 is always less than 10.
uh,
And
for loop will never run if there is no
okay,
condition,
okay, understood. Yeah, yeah.
but in while loop it will go in the infinite loop. So I have to very careful while doing my while loop that I have to do the initialization condition and the this
Increment.
part incrementation. But when there is no incrementation in the for loop, it will never go inside. It will break here only.
Mhm.
So for loop is better, but in some condition, while loop is the best. You have to choose the condition. According to the condition, we choose the loop that what we have to do. Sometimes like while loop is better that it will only run for the true condition.
Mhm.
So I can make here some function that if this condition is true, suppose I will make my function here that some function that if the function returns true, then only my code runs. You will see in the coming class that why I'm saying this, that why while loop is better in some conditions. Okay, now can say add new class and I will say as array study. And one thing to remember that why I'm doing the array study, concatenation study, never choose that keyword which is you can say which will confuse the Visual Studio as well. That array is something like which we are using. It will get confused sometimes. I don't know whether it will work or not, but I always do something like array study, array function. Always choose some keyword with you can say predefined keywords. This is predefined. Okay, so always name your class like array study, array function, array one, array two, something like that. Okay, now again, I will add my main method to it. So this is the good question of yours that uh, how can we choose the for loop and uh, f- while loop? It will be according to the condition that what is the condition I am getting. So for the Excel, now if I know that what are the number of rows, then I will definitely go with the for loop. For loop is very easy because it will not run if these three conditions are not there. But while loop will run even if the incrementation is not there. So I will go for the for loop always. But sometimes while loop is better when there is when I have to check the condition that web element is
Mhm.
there in the web page or not. I will give the condition that if my function returns true only,
Go
then I will
inside.
go inside the condition. Otherwise not.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Actually, these things are actually little difficult when means while studying it is fine, but when deciding or working somewhere, then
yeah,
it is difficult to decide.
yeah,
So
it is
that is the
difficult to
reason.
decide. So in my opinion, for loop is much better than while loop. I will use 90 times for loop than while loop because for loop is much better. But in some condition, while loop is a savior.
Mhm.
Okay, so it depends on the condition. Okay, now suppose I say there is one string username and there is string password. then another string, and say email, then there is, can say int zip code, which is, you can say something like this. So you username, you can say something like this, password, something like this, then email, you can say. Now sometimes you have lot of data. This is a little bit of data. Suppose you get 100 fields. Okay. For this we use array. Array is basically a memory location where you can store multiple values. You can say it is basically a memory location. Okay, where you can store multiple values. You can say mm, there is the username, password, then email, then zip code. And say mm, suppose there is username here, and say password here, here, and say email, then zip code. I can store multiple values. Suppose here my username is something like this, password is something like this, and email is, you can say, @gmail.com, and zip code is okay. And here say, you can say other, something like this, @gmail.com, and their zip code is anything. And again, for the third, say this, gmail.com, and something like this. So this is a memory location where I can store multiple values. This is one array. I can store multiple values in my array. In the future, we will read data from Excel and put it in the array. So how can I declare array like and say string. So this is how you can run the array. Now you can say Now, in this array, there's one drawback that string array cannot hold integer value and int array cannot hold string value. Okay, that if I declare string array, I cannot hold int value inside the string array. Okay,
Abhijit, I did not understand this. A string,
uh,
brackets, and this
yeah,
comma or dot.
this is a declaration. This is just a declaration. Don't go into that. This is just a declaration. I'm just saying that the key point to remember that if I'm declaring string array,
Mm-hmm.
it cannot hold the value of int. I'm writing the key points that string array cannot hold integer. As you can see that this is string, this is string, this is string, and this is int. So in my array, all the values should have to be string if I'm declaring my array as a string. Okay, you got the point that if I'm declaring my array as a string, then all the values should have to be string. No values can be other. Like string array cannot hold integer value. And you can say vice versa,
Okay, array
which
can be any type, like
array I'm declaring my array as a string. So string array cannot hold integer value.
integer value.
And if I'm declaring my array as a string, then
Mm-hmm.
integer array cannot hold the string
Value
value.
as a string.
Okay. You can say and in
But can I define like other than int or array a different type of arrays as
you
well?
can bool as well, but array
Means
yeah
not
you
that much
can
useful.
yeah not that much useful because if the array is string, then all the values I cannot declare. I cannot can store my int value.
Mm.
Okay, I cannot store my int value inside the string array. Okay, so and int array cannot hold string value. Okay, so for this we have an object array. Say this we have object array. Don't get confused. It's just for information or it's just for knowledge only. Okay, so how can we declare my object array like object data, this is the name, equal to new object. Now here this 3, I'm telling that this is the number of rows. 3 is number of rows. I'm telling that this array can hold the number of rows inside it is 3. Now object array can go over here. It's the inbuilt class. Okay, it's an inbuilt class inside C sharp. We will study it in detail as we move in with other with the course when we actually read the data from Excel file in Selenium scripts. Right now, just remember that there is an object array which is an inbuilt class. Again, right? You can say object array is an inbuilt class. Okay, inside C sharp. So you have to just remember this whenever sometimes interviewer can ask you that what is this. So you can say that object is array is an inbuilt class inside C sharp. This is a small question that interview can ask. So it will say that what is this? It can be any one, two, three, four. Three is the number of rows inside the array. Okay.
Okay. Object means it can hold anything. Like it
Yeah,
could be a
it
number, it
can.
could be a string.
Yeah, this is like this only.
Yeah.
I am defining the number of rows that I have in my array. There are three. It can be any. Like I can write it as 4. I can write it as 5. It will always you can say that the number of rows that I am defining that in my array object array. What are what are the number of rows? Okay. Now the advantage is that it will hold. I'm right again the key point holds can say all the data types. Okay. It will hold all the data types. Again, it's a very good interview question that object array can hold all the data types or not. So answer is yes, it can hold all the data types. It can be integer, it can be string, it can be bool, it can be you can say anything. It can hold any data type, multiple data types. Hold all data types or can say multiple data types. Yeah. So this is just a basic introduction of object array. Don't get confused. This is just an introduction. You will get to know when we move along the course. I'm just giving you an introduction that there is an object array class. You hover over this and you can see class system dot object.
When we say these are means classes,
Mhm,
means string class and object class, they are
mhm.
predefined class
Yeah, yeah,
created by C sharp
yeah,
in this. Can we go and see these classes? Means see in any object oriented language, we always create a class, then we create an object of that particular class to use that class, correct?
yeah. This is you
So
can say this is the inbuilt class of object
how
array.
to go inside? How to go inside?
Just hover over the
Mm-hmm.
name here,
Okay.
object, just click, then it's you can
Mm-hmm.
go over here. This is the inbuilt class by C sharp. Okay. You can say returns a new object instance that is member by copy of this. So you can go inside this class. Now uh, int, it's a system dot, it's not a
Class.
it's not a class. But over here you see class
Say
system dot
string.
string.
String is a class.
Okay, string is an inbuilt class inside C sharp.
Mhm.
Okay, so just don't get confused. This is just an introduction.
Mm.
So interview can ask that what this number represents. It can be any 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 100, 1000. It can be any. So it represents the number of rows that I am defining that what the number of rows are there in my object array. Okay, so we will move ahead with the topic which is function. Okay, so for that I will again make a new class and write as function study. And again add my main method to it. So functions are very important. You will know when you go into the automation line that functions are very important. It's a small unit of execution. This is just a definition of a function. You can say function. It's a small unit of execution. Now, scope of, I say, this is also a function. When you say, I'm saying that this is method, and the scope of this function is inside this brackets. Okay. Now I say scope of this function is inside the brackets. Okay. Suppose if I create a new function like uh, we can say public static and say void test. This is another function. So scope of this function is inside these brackets. So I have declared one function as test. Now, what is this static? What is this void? What is public? It will be clear to you as we proceed. Okay. So my the function name is test. Suppose if I write console.writeLine and say I will print in main method, and here I will say in test method. Now, first of all, I have to declare as it my first startup class. Now you see function study. Always, just remember, always, whenever you make the startup object, then always close this. Otherwise, in when this tab is open and you make the new class, it will not come into the drop down in startup object. Okay. Now, if I execute my code, you say it will print in main method, but it will not print in test method. So the thing is that functions are not executed by themselves. So again, it's a very important interview question that function can execute by themselves or not. And the answer is no. Function cannot be executed by themselves as only main function will execute as it is a default function for starting. So this again a good point that function are not executed by themselves. They have to be called. As you see that I am declaring my function inside the class body, since in the main in the class body class internal class function, that it is starting here and ending over here. So I am declaring function parallelly. Function can be declared inside the class body only parallelly. I cannot declare function inside the, suppose if I say I cannot declare function inside the function. This is a small point but important point that interview can ask you that can you declare function inside a function? The answer is no. You cannot declare function inside a function. Suppose now if I want to print this line, how can I do that? I can call this function in another function. So this is important line that, so first I will, now if I run my function, you'll see now it prints in test method. Okay, so this way I can write function is not declared inside the another function, but
I
function,
did not understand. The function is not declared inside the another function.
like
Okay.
suppose this this is declaration of function. How
Yes, yes.
function? Suppose I will copy this and paste it over
Is
here.
inside the main method, huh?
Yeah, no, you can suppose inside the main method. Suppose I will make another function public static void, and suppose my function name is any print name. You say console dot write line. See, I have declared one more function. Okay, now if I copy this and paste it over here, I'm declaring one function inside the another function that I can't do.
Okay, okay. So
Okay,
even inside the main method, I cannot print add this public static void test also. Means
yeah,
in the main method, means that is
this is also a
okay.
function. It
Okay,
is a
this is
function
also a
one.
function because it is also having a bracket
Yeah,
string r inside.
yeah,
Okay.
this is another
Argument. Huh.
function. Yeah,
Mm.
this is another function. I cannot declare function
Inside a
the
function.
function. Yeah, this is
Okay.
the point.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, now
Now.
you got it.
Yes. Now good.
Okay, this is very key points.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that somebody get out it, but these are the small point, but are the key points that function cannot be declared inside the another function, but function can be called by another function. Okay, now here my test function is called in main method. Okay, now suppose you can, this will get confused, but don't get confused. I'm calling one function in the another function, that my main function called the text function. Suppose if I press control and I will click on it, it will take to my this function, that this function is being called inside the main function. Okay, and say, suppose if I want to call this function, I can call it here as well. Now, if I run my code, first time you see that it will print inside the in test method. Now it will also print in print name method. Suppose I run my now you see it will print all three. Either it will call by the main method or I can call it here as well.
Okay. Can I call it in main method as well as in the second method as well?
Yeah. Function can be called in another
Multiple time.
function. Yeah, multiple times because they are parallel.
Hmm.
The scope of this function is here. The scope of this function is in these brackets, and the scope of this function in these brackets. They are being, you can say, placed parallelly.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, if I run again, you will see it will print again. Similarly, my print name can say can call. You can say test as well, but here now I have to call print name,
In order to call test.
yeah, in order to call test. Now you see that when I run my code, now you see it is again printing the same, but the order changes. Like first it will call the main function that in main method, then it called the print name function which is say in print name method. Now it will call the test function which is say in test method. Okay. Now in these functions you can pass the variable as well. Suppose uh, if I pass here mm, int can say val. Now here it will give error because here I am passing the value, but here I am not passing the value. So I have to pass value. Suppose I will pass 5. Now 5 is an integer. Okay. Now I can print console dot write line can say mm, value is now if I run my code, see it prints 5. Whatever value I pass here, suppose I pass 200. Now you see it will print value is 200. Now suppose I will can say pass string value. So now it will give error. Now here if I run my code, you can see that it will give error. That what is the error? Cannot convert from string to int.
String. Int.
Okay, you have to pass argument. This is the passing the argument. Like I have to pass argument to the function exactly same as data type. That is, if it is declared as int, then I should pass int. It if it declares string, then I should pass string. Okay, so very careful in this that you can pass as much as argument to the you can say function. Suppose this is a string value and I can int can say val1. Okay, now here I can pass comma can say 400 and I will say value 1 is val1. Okay. Now, if I run my code, now you see value is 200, which is a string. String can be anything. It can be integer, it can be anything. So you see, I can pass any number of arguments. I can pass one more value, like you can say bool uh, val 3. Now, if I want to pass here something, I can pass only true
True or
or
false.
false. If I write something like you can say string, then it will give error because my third argument is in bool. It should accept only true or false, not in double quotes. Suppose I will pass here true. Again, it will give error because my third value is bool and it will only accept true or false only. And I can say val 3. If I run my code, now you see true. Here I can type val 3. And suppose if I passed here false, and if I run my code again, then it will print false here. Okay, so you have to give, suppose I don't want to say false, I will related, then it will give an error. So you have to give as much arguments there as there in the functions. If there are three arguments, three variables are there, then you have to pass three variables there. Even if there is string can be null, but you have to pass null value as well. Okay, so this is a key thing that if there are three arguments, then I have to pass three arguments. Okay, now you can see that uh, suppose I declare int f equal to 0. I can use this f. Suppose I will say, can say int y equal to 5, and I say console dot write line addition of numbers are, can say f plus y. Now this integer f and this integer y is declared inside the print name function. Suppose if I write my line here, now you see the name f does not exist in the current context. They doesn't know what is f, what is y. So this is,
So, can I use f and y inside that public static void test? Means
no, you
same.
can't. No, you
No, no,
can't.
no. Means I can declare same variables again inside this, like int
Yeah,
f
yeah,
equal to 0.
yeah, you can declare. You can
It will not give
declare.
error.
No, int f equal to 0.
No, not
Okay.
not inside the main. Inside the void test.
Inside the which,
Mm,
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
class.
yeah.
This
Okay,
method.
yeah, you can use here as well.
Okay, it will not give error.
No,
Even
it
the same is used.
now why it is not giving error? Because these are local variables. Local variables means the scope of this f is inside these brackets. Outside these brackets, they doesn't exist. The scope of f and y is inside these brackets only. Okay, I can declare this in my main method as well. You can say in addition of numbers main, addition of number test, and addition of number print name. And suppose if I run my code, it will not give me any error. You see, it will print all. So these are local variables. The scope of these variables are inside these only. Now suppose if I declare and say int g, yeah, int val equal to 9. Okay. Now suppose here I declare int another variable like val equal to, you can say, 7. Now it will give error. The variable val is assigned, but it's never used. Unnecessary assignment of a value to val. As I am already declared my val variable as int, it can be used in any function. Suppose I can say console dot write line value is plus mm, okay, okay. Now you see that when I click on this, it will go take me to this. Now I have declared this as my global variable that it can be used inside any function. I can use it over here as well. It will not give error. I can say use it over here as well. It will not give error. Now this is global variable. Okay, this is the scope of this variable is inside the class. Say I have declared inside the class, so the scope of this variable is inside the class. So it can be used in any function which is declared inside the class function study. I can use this variable is in and many function which I want to, which are declared inside the class. I can use this variable val. So this is known as global variable, that it can be used in any function. It can be main function, it can be test function, it can be print name function, or it can be another function which I will make. So this is known as global variable, and it will be declared only once inside the class. I cannot declare it again. Suppose if I want to declare again uh, int val equal to 8. Okay, now you see, cannot use local variable val before it is declared. As I'm already declared my val, so I cannot declare it again. I can use it, but I cannot declare it again inside the function. Okay, now this is all about the functions, and you can say the local variable and global variable. You get my point about the local variable and global variable.
Yes, yes.
Okay, the scope of this variable val is inside these brackets, which
Mm.
is class, but the scope of these variables is inside the
Method,
function only.
function. Function.
I can declare same variable again and again in any function, but I cannot declare the global variable again. Okay, this is a very good interview question that you they it will ask you that there is a variable which is declared globally. Can you declare it in locally inside the function? The answer is no. You cannot declare the global variable in the local function again. You cannot declare. So I will write it the key point. You cannot declare global variable in any function again. Okay, so this is a good interview question that can you declare global variable again in your any function? The answer is no. You cannot declare global variable in any function again. But you can declare local variable again and again in any function. Okay, this is the key points which will be very good for the interview, that you can declare local variable again and again in any function. Like int f equal to 0, I have declared in every function. Okay, this is local variable, so I can declare it in any function. Okay, so you get the points in the today's class.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Was actually
now now it is being recorded. So I will upload it and pass you the link. For the first three classes, the link is on the YouTube,
mm,
and you will get in the your batch recording as well. But for the first three classes, I will put it in the YouTube. You can watch it over here for your key points. And just remember, I think I have told you earlier that whenever you watch the recording, just write down the key points. Like I am,
points. Yeah.
it's a very good for the interview. It's the key
Mm,
points, that what are local variables, what are global variables, what is function, what is the scope of the function.
function. Yeah.
Okay, these are the very good questions. Then when you're going for the interview, then just read out these points.
Sure.
Okay, these are
I'll
very good questions.
rewatch this video
Yeah,
because it is.
when you're watching this, just write down with your pen, not with the printing. Write down with the pen the key points always. It's good for the interview.
Mm,
That what you have done,
sure,
and always practice what I have done. Just do it by yourself. That what is the scope of this function, and if you get any error, just ping me,
sure.
and I will solve your error.
Today
Okay?
you made my life easier by telling me that um, we have created multiple classes, right? So you are
Yeah.
making that the main function. from
Yeah.
where you have to execute. Previously, I
Yeah.
used to create multiple solution
Mm.
just to write one program
Okay. So
because I never knew that like you can just go to properties and make it as your main class.
yeah, yeah. Like these are the each interview can ask you, can you make multiple classes and make your class as your startup class? You can
Mhm.
answer yes, can make multiple classes. I can
Mm.
have make multiple main methods. As you can see, in every
Every
class,
class we
I have
have.
my main method. I have my main method. But by going into the, you can say my right click properties, then here startup object, whatever I want to make as my startup class, I can put it selection over here
Mhm.
and select it, and then
Done.
yeah, you can run, and then always remember to close it.
Close it.
Why I'm saying that, I will do the thing that suppose I will make another class and name it as any. Suppose I name it like this only. Now,
We don't have any shortcut keys to write public static void main. Like we have to.
no, 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 you don't have. Just help will come out there. But I always, you can say, I will copy it from here and paste it over here. This is the
Mm,
easiest way. But I
mhm.
always tell to anybody that always type it by yourself.
Yes. Yes.
It will help you in the future. Why I'm saying you this, it will help you in the future. Okay, now suppose if I write a main method, now I want to make it as my startup class. Now here I already open it. So now you see class
That
one
class
is
will not
not
come.
class one
Mm.
is not here. So always close this whenever you make it as your startup class. Okay. So
Mm.
these are the small things but very good things.
Helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very helpful. So just study your global variables, local variables. Okay, and please study by doing it yourself. You will see the difference that
Yes.
in your coming to 10 to 15 days, you will see the difference in your, you can say that in your knowledge.
Mm.
Okay, so let's meet tomorrow again for the another class.
Sure.
Okay, I will upload it and pass the link to you.
Yeah. Thank you